Chapter 1. Rainy beginnings. Rain fell in gentle sheets, painting the streets of Lily Harper's hometown with a soft, shimmering glow. She tucked her scarf tighter around her neck and pulled her coat closer, feeling both the chill of the autumn air and the warmth of returning home. After years in the city, with its endless noise and relentless pace, the familiar streets felt like a balm to her weary soul. Every corner, every shop window seemed to whisper memories she had tucked away, waiting patiently for her return. Lily's thoughts drifted to her life in the city, to deadlines that never seemed to end, and to the emptiness that had quietly grown in the spaces between. Here, in the quiet drizzle of her hometown, she hoped to find clarity and perhaps a small spark of peace. She had not expected the world to remind her that even small moments could carry the weight of a thousand unspoken feelings. As she hurried along the cobblestone sidewalk, lost in thought, a sudden collision startled her. Coffee spilled across her coat, soaking the edge of her sleeve, and papers fluttered into the rain like tiny white birds. She looked up to apologize, and there he was. Ethan Sullivan's eyes were wide with concern, his dark hair dampened by the rain. He knelt immediately, helping her gather the scattered papers, his hands brushing hers in the process. "I am so sorry," Lily stammered, cheeks flushing as she tried to straighten the soaked pages. "I was not paying attention." Ethan shook his head, a small, understanding smile tugging at his lips. "It is my fault too. I should have seen you coming." His voice was calm, steady, and for a moment it made the world seem quieter. The rain softer. They worked together in awkward harmony, laughing nervously as the papers clung to each other and refused to cooperate. There was something simple yet profound in the way he handed her the final sheet, as if in that small gesture he had acknowledged her presence in a way no one else had. "Thank you," Lily whispered finally, tucking the wet papers under her arm. She looked at him again and felt a strange pull, an unspoken recognition that lingered between them, fragile but unmistakable. Ethan's smile widened slightly, and he tilted his head toward the cafe across the street. "Do you want to get out of the rain for a few minutes?" he asked. "We can dry off and maybe have a warm cup of coffee." Lily hesitated, surprised by the simplicity of the offer and by the comfort she felt at the thought. The rain tapped a gentle rhythm on the windows as if urging her to say yes. She nodded, feeling a quiet excitement that she had not felt in years. As they entered the cafe, the warmth of the air and the rich aroma of coffee wrapped around them. Lily realized that sometimes the smallest encounters could leave the deepest impressions, and she could not shake the feeling that this rainy afternoon was the beginning of something she had long to hope for. The rain continued to fall outside, relentless and soothing, as two strangers shared an unexpected moment that neither of them would soon forget. Chapter 2. Familiar streets, new feelings. Next morning, Lily stepped outside to the soft grey light of early autumn. The rain had left the streets glistening, and the scent of wet earth clung to the air. She wandered slowly, letting her feet guide her past familiar storefronts and the old oak trees that lined the sidewalks. Memories of childhood laughter, of running through puddles with her friends, of afternoons spent curled up with a book in the corner of her favorite cafe, came flooding back. It felt like stepping into a photograph, one she had always loved but had not seen in years. As she passed the cafe where she had first met Ethan, a flicker of movement caught her eye. He was there, seated near the window, his gaze fixed on a notebook in front of him. Something about the way he held himself, quiet yet present, drew her in. She hesitated for a moment, unsure if it was courage or curiosity that nudged her forward. When he noticed her, a small, warm smile lit up his face, and her heart skipped a beat. He stood and waved gently, motioning for her to join him. Lily felt a strange mixture of nerves and anticipation as she crossed the street, the damp leaves crunching softly beneath her boots. "Good morning," Ethan said, his voice calm and inviting. as if the world had shrunk to just the two of them. "Good morning," Lily replied, settling into the seat across from him. She noticed the faint scent of coffee and rain on his coat and realized how oddly comforting it felt. They spoke cautiously at first, sharing small details about their lives and the town. Ethan told her about his work at the local bookshop, and how the town had changed only slightly, while she recounted snippets of life in the city, leaving out the exhausting parts and keeping the stories light. The conversation flowed easily, and for the first time in a long while, Lily felt like she could simply breathe. Outside, the rain began to fall again, soft and persistent. Ethan reached across the table, his hand brushing against hers as if it were the most natural thing in the world. She did not pull away. The touch was brief but lingered in her mind, and she felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the coffee in front of her. "You seem different here," he said quietly. Not as a question, but as an observation. "Like you belong." Lily looked down at her hands, the droplets of rain still clinging to her sleeve, and smiled faintly. "Maybe I do," she admitted. She had not realized how much she had missed this place, or how much she had missed feeling connected. They watched the rain together in companionable silence, each lost in thought yet aware of the other's presence. It was a gentle moment, quiet and unassuming, but it carried the weight of something neither of them could yet name. In that small cafe on a rainy morning, a bond began to take root, tender and fragile, but undeniable. As Lily left to continue her walk, she felt a flutter of anticipation and hope. The streets seemed warmer, the rain softer, and she realized that some encounters had the power to change everything. She had no idea what the future held, but the memory of Ethan's smile and the light touch of his hand promised that this return home might be different from anything she had imagined. Chapter 3. Shared storms. Afternoon sky darkened faster than Lily had anticipated, clouds gathering in heavy, brooding masses. A sudden gust of wind scattered fallen leaves across the streets, and she quickened her pace, wishing she had checked the weather before leaving her apartment. The first drops of rain fell softly at first, then quickly thickened into a steady downpour, sending umbrellas bobbing along the sidewalks. Lily darted toward the nearest shelter, spotting the familiar sign of the local bookstore ahead. She pushed open the door and was greeted by the warm scent of aged paper and polished wood. The rain hissed against the windows as she shook off her coat and looked around for a dry corner to escape the storm. She froze for a moment when she saw Ethan standing near a shelf, a book in his hands, and his hair damp from the rain. His eyes lifted, and relief softened his features when he spotted her. "Lily," he said, closing the book and stepping closer. "You made it." "I barely did," she admitted, her voice light but tinged with laughter at the absurdity of running through the streets like a child. The rain came out of nowhere. They moved deeper into the store together, finding a quiet nook near the poetry section. The rain drummed steadily against the windows, and the bookstore felt like a sanctuary from the grey, wet world outside. Ethan offered her his umbrella, now soaked and dripping, and she shook her head with a small smile. "Not necessary," she said softly. "I like this. It feels alive." He looked at her for a long moment, his gaze intense yet gentle. "I understand," he said. "Sometimes the storm makes things clearer, even if it is messy." The conversation drifted naturally, first about trivial things like favorite books and local events, and then more quietly, toward the things that mattered most. Lily found herself sharing fragments of her past she had never mentioned to anyone, the small disappointments and the quiet loneliness that had accompanied her in the city. She spoke about missed opportunities and the longing for something she could not quite name. Ethan listened without interruption, nodding occasionally, his expression open and understanding. When he spoke, his words were measured, thoughtful. He revealed why he had kept his distance from love, how past heartbreak had left him cautious, almost guarded. For the first time, Lily saw the vulnerability behind the calm exterior. The careful walls built around a heart that had been hurt before. She felt a stirring of empathy and a quiet admiration for the way he carried himself despite it all. The storm outside intensified, sending sheets of rain against the bookstore windows. Lily and Ethan moved closer, the space between them shrinking. Without a word, a shared laugh at a minor mishap with a book brought warmth to the cold. And when he offered her his coat to shield her from the occasional gust that sneaked in through the door, her fingers brushed his. The contact was electric in its subtlety, and neither pulled away. "I am glad we got caught in the rain together," Lily admitted finally, her voice low. "It feels different somehow." Ethan smiled, a soft, almost shy smile that reached his eyes. "It does," he agreed. "It feels like we are exactly where we are supposed to be, even if it is by accident." They remained there for a while, speaking in low tones and watching the storm, each finding comfort in the other's presence. The rain continued to fall outside, relentless and soothing, while inside, amidst the books and quiet whispers, a fragile bond began to grow. It was a small, unassuming moment, but one that would echo far beyond the storm, leaving both of them with the first hint of hope that connection and understanding were possible, even in the most unexpected of circumstances. Chapter 4. The first promised drizzle had slowed to a soft mist when Lily left the bookstore later that afternoon. Her coat was still damp, and her hair clung in soft waves to her cheeks. She walked slowly down the familiar streets, feeling the quiet hum of the town around her. The memory of the storm lingered, not as something to fear but as a gentle reminder of the afternoon she had shared with Ethan. She did not expect to see him again, yet there he was, leaning casually against the lamppost outside the cafe, holding two steaming cups of coffee. He waved when he spotted her, and a small laugh escaped her lips at the simple gesture. "Coffee?" he asked, handing her a cup. "I thought it might help with the damp chill." "Thank you," she said, wrapping her hands around the warmth. She took a slow sip, savoring the rich flavor and the comfort it brought. They walked together toward the park nearby, where the soft mist hung over the benches and the puddles reflected the muted light of the cloudy sky. For a while, they simply walked, the quiet rhythm of their steps keeping time with the steady dripping of water from the trees. Then, as they paused near a small fountain, Lily found herself speaking in a voice softer than usual. "I never thought coming back here would feel like this," she admitted. "Like I could finally breathe again. Life in the city, it just felt heavy. Always pushing, always rushing. I forgot how it felt to just exist." Ethan nodded, his eyes thoughtful. "I know what you mean. I have always loved this town, but I kept myself distant. I watched people come and go, and I built walls because I was afraid of letting anyone in. Trusting someone felt impossible after being hurt." Lily glanced at him, the vulnerability in his expression striking her. She saw a man who had been careful to protect himself, yet here he was, standing beside her in the soft rain, willing to let her see him. "I think that is why meeting you today, yesterday, it feels different," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I do not know why, but it feels like something is possible again. Like hope is not such a fragile thing." Ethan smiled faintly, brushing a strand of damp hair from his forehead. "I feel the same," he admitted. "It is rare to meet someone who makes you want to step outside your walls, even if just a little." They lingered near the fountain, the mist curling around them like a private world. Then Ethan spoke, his voice gentle but with a hint of playfulness. "Promise me something." Lily tilted her head, curiosity flickering in her eyes. "What is it?" "Promise me that we will meet here again the next time it rains," he said, a light smile playing on his lips. "Even if it is just for a few minutes, even if the world is rushing past us." Her heart fluttered, and she nodded, the words feeling both spontaneous and significant. "I promise," she said softly. The first promise hung between them, tender and unspoken, carrying with it the weight of possibility. They parted shortly after, walking in opposite directions with the soft drizzle settling around them. Yet the memory of shared smiles, of cautious trust and unexpected warmth, lingered with both of them like a quiet, beautiful refrain, for the first time in a long while. Lily realized that moments could change everything, and as she looked back, over her shoulder, she could see Ethan doing the same, his figure framed by the gentle rain, both of them unknowingly holding onto a fragile, growing hope. Chapter 5. Unexpected encounter. Days following their first promise passed with a gentle rhythm. Lily found herself noticing the little details of the town she had once overlooked, the way sunlight, sea, autumn puddles after a brief shower, the soft hum of chatter from the bakery, the scent of rain lingering in the air, and she found herself looking for Ethan, though she told herself it was only curiosity, nothing more. Their encounters were almost accidental at first. She spotted him at the corner bookshop while reaching for a favorite novel, and he gave her a warm nod. Later, at the small flower stall near the town square, their hands brushed briefly as they both reached for the same bouquet of daisies. Each meeting carried a quiet thrill, a subtle spark that neither could ignore. One rainy morning, Lily ducked into the cafe to escape a sudden drizzle and was surprised to see Ethan already inside. Seated near the window with his notebook open, he looked up, startled but smiling, and gestured for her to join him. "You seem to be everywhere I go," she said, laughter dancing in her eyes. "I could say the same," he replied, a teasing smile softening into something gentler. "Or maybe the rain is just leading us together." They shared a table, and as the rain pattered against the glass, conversation flowed easily. Ethan offered small acts of kindness, like sliding her a warm napkin when her coffee spilled slightly, or pointing out a charming little shop she had forgotten existed. Each gesture was simple, but carried a warmth that made Lily's chest feel lighter, as though her heart was stretching open in ways she had long resisted. One afternoon, while walking past the fountain, they found themselves trapped by another light shower. Ethan quickly offered his coat, and Lily accepted without hesitation. They laughed as they huddled together beneath the fabric, shoulders brushing, each aware of the closeness but unsure how to address it. "You make this town feel smaller, in a good way," Lily admitted, her voice low, "like there is room for connection again, even after so long." Ethan's gaze lingered on her, earnest and quiet. "That is because it is easier with you," he said softly. "Being around you feels right." The words, simple yet unspoken in their weight, lingered in the air. Neither pressed for more, but the promise of something deeper hung between them. Their laughter, their shared silences, the subtle warmth of proximity, each moment built a gentle intimacy neither had expected but both welcomed. By the end of the week, Lily found herself thinking less about her past regrets and more about these small, unexpected joys. Every accidental meeting, every brush of hands or shared smile, wove a subtle thread between her and Ethan. She realized that love did not always announce itself with grand gestures or dramatic confessions. Sometimes it began quietly, in the rhythm of repeated encounters, in the soft, patient unfolding of trust and familiarity. And as she returned home one misty evening, Lily carried with her a quiet sense of anticipation. The rain had become a familiar companion, a reminder of the warmth she had discovered in someone who had once been a stranger. The bond between them was growing, gentle and steady, and she could not help but wonder where these small, unexpected moments might lead. Chapter 6. Conflicting emotions. Weeks passed, and the quiet rhythm Lily had come to cherish began to feel unsettled. Memories from the city crept back into her mind, uninvited and insistent. Work emails she had hoped to ignore appeared on her phone, and the distant hum of deadlines reminded her that the life she had left behind was still waiting. She felt a tug of doubt in her chest, wondering if she truly belonged here, if she could build a new rhythm, or if the past would always chase her. Ethan noticed the change before she even spoke. There was a distance in her eyes, a hesitancy in her laughter that he could not ignore. He wanted to reach out, to reassure her that the bond they had started to form was real and worth holding onto, but fear held him back. Fear of being too forward, of misreading her emotions, and of reopening a heart that had been cautious for so long. One afternoon, they met by chance at the old park near the fountain. The air was heavy with humidity, and a soft drizzle threatened to start again. Lily smiled at him, but it was tinged with uncertainty. Ethan offered his usual warmth, a gentle greeting and a subtle joke, but the moment felt fragile, as though it could shatter with the wrong word. "I did not expect to see you here today," Lily said, her voice quiet, almost hesitant. "I could say the same," Ethan replied, though there was an edge of concern in his tone. "You seem distracted lately. Is everything okay?" Lily hesitated, staring at the puddles at her feet. "It is just the city. It seems farther away than ever, but somehow it still follows me. I keep wondering if I made a mistake coming back, if I even belong here anymore." Ethan's chest tightened at her words. He understood that doubt all too well. "I know what you mean," he admitted softly. "Sometimes I wonder if I can really let someone in, if trusting someone is worth the risk. I am afraid of losing people I care about, even before I have the chance to hold on to them." Their eyes met, each reflecting the vulnerability and fear the other carried. Words were insufficient, and yet the silence between them was heavy with meaning. Both longed to bridge the gap, to reach for the comfort and connection they had begun to build, but neither knew how to do it without risking more than they were ready to give. A sudden clap of distant thunder startled them, and Lily instinctively drew her coat tighter around herself. Ethan moved a step closer, offering his presence as silently as he could. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes, a quiet promise that he was still there, even when the uncertainty threatened to pull them apart. "I think we both need time," Lily said finally, her voice soft but steady, "to figure out who we are and what we want. I do not want to lose this, us, but I am not sure how to hold it right now." Ethan nodded, understanding more in that single gesture than words could convey. "We will find our way," he said quietly, "even if it takes time, even if it is messy. Some things are worth holding on to." They parted that afternoon under the heavy grey sky, neither entirely comforted, yet both aware that their bond had not broken. It had been tested by fear and uncertainty, and though the path ahead seemed unclear, a faint hope remained. The rain that fell intermittently felt different now, a reminder that storms were inevitable, but that shelter could always be found in each other's presence, even if only in the quiet knowledge that they cared. Chapter 7. Heart Lake was quiet that evening, its surface mirroring the soft hues of the fading sun. Mist curled above the water, blending seamlessly with the golden lights that lingered in the sky. Lily walked slowly along the shore, her coat brushing against the tall grass, her thoughts heavy yet strangely calm. She had felt the tension with Ethan in recent days, the weight of unspoken fears pressing down. But she knew she could not ignore it any longer. Ethan appeared at the path's edge, his presence calm and patient. He did not speak at first, letting the silence stretch comfortably between them. Lily approached, and they fell into step together, the soft crunch of gravel under their boots the only sound aside from the gentle lap of water against the shore. "I have been thinking," Lily said finally, her voice low and tentative, "about us, about everything that has happened since I came back. And I realized I have been holding back because I am afraid. Afraid of making mistakes, afraid of being hurt again." Ethan glanced at her, his expression softening. "I know the feeling," he admitted, I have built walls for so long, thinking I could protect myself from loss. But being around you, it makes those walls feel unnecessary and fragile. I want to trust again, even if it scares me. They stopped near a wooden bench overlooking the lake, and for a moment, neither spoke. Lily took a deep breath, the cool air filling her lungs, and let her gaze drift across the water. I thought coming home would mean going back to the life I left behind, she said, but instead, it has become a place where I am learning who I am, and who I might be with someone else, with you. Ethan reached out slowly, taking her hand in his. The touch was reassuring, grounding, and Lily felt a warmth spread through her chest. I want to be someone you can count on, he said, his voice steady yet vulnerable. I do not want to rush things, but I do want to be present, to be here with you. Tears threatened Lily's eyes. Not from sadness but from the relief of finally being understood. I have been so afraid of letting someone in, she confessed. But with you, it feels safe. It feels like maybe it is okay to hope again. They sat on the bench together, hands entwined, speaking softly about their fears, their past mistakes, and the quiet hopes that had lingered in their hearts. Each word, each shared vulnerability, wove a deeper thread between them. The sun dipped lower, casting long reflections on the water, and the world felt both vast and intimate at the same time. I think love is like this lake, Ethan said thoughtfully. It can be calm and gentle, or it can be stormy and uncertain, but if you stay, if you are patient and present, it reflects everything honestly and beautifully. Lily nodded, squeezing his hand. Then let's promise to be patient, to stay even when the storms come, and to always be honest with each other. Ethan smiled, a mixture of relief and affection in his eyes. I promise, he said. I will do my best, always. For the first time in a long while, both of them felt truly seen and understood. The lakeside held their conversation like a sacred space, and as they rose to leave, the mist began to thin, revealing a sky just beginning to sparkle with the first stars of evening. Walking back together, their hands remained intertwined, a silent vow that the bond they had forged in rain, laughter, and vulnerability would carry them forward. The uncertainty of life remained, but so did the quiet certainty that they had each found someone worth trusting, someone worth holding on to, no matter what storms lay ahead. Chapter 8. Weathering the storm. The following weeks were filled with both quiet joys and subtle challenges. The town, which had seemed so welcoming, now pressed against Lily with small reminders of responsibilities and expectations. Family questions about her future in the city and lingering doubts about her choices gnawed at her. At the same time, Ethan faced his own pressures. The bookshop required extra hours due to inventory and seasonal events, and whispers from the town about his past relationships sometimes stirred insecurities he had thought long buried. One rainy afternoon, they met again by the fountain, a familiar meeting point that had become their little refuge. Lily arrived first, her umbrella barely shielding her from the drizzle. She noticed the furrow in Ethan's brow as he approached, and her heart tightened. You look tired, she said softly, handing him her spare scarf to shield him from the rain. I am, he admitted, taking the scarf with a grateful smile. Work has been overwhelming, and there are some personal things I need to sort out. But seeing you makes it better, at least for a moment. They walked together along the familiar streets, the rain falling gently around them, a comforting backdrop to the heavy feelings they carried. Lily felt the pull of her past, the need to return to the city looming over her, yet she was unwilling to let go of the bond they were building. Sometimes I feel like I am being pulled into directions, Lily confessed. Part of me wants to stay here, to explore what this connection means, but another part of me fears I am running from everything I left behind. Ethan nodded, understanding her struggle more than she could know. I feel the same way. I want to let myself be close to someone, to open my heart again, but I am afraid of losing them, of making a mistake and regretting it. It is hard to balance hope and caution. They found shelter under the awning of a closed shop, the sound of the rain steady above them. For a while, they simply stood there, shoulders brushing, sharing the quiet intimacy of presence, without needing to solve anything. The storm outside mirrored the storm inside their hearts, yet they clung to each other as a stabilizing force. "You know," Ethan said finally, his voice low but firm. "Maybe the storm is not meant to push us apart. Maybe it is meant to show us that we can face challenges together, even when everything seems uncertain." Lily smiled, a mixture of relief and gratitude warming her chest. "I think you are right," she said. "Even when things get difficult, it helps to know someone is walking beside you." As the rain softened to a drizzle, they continued their walk in companionable silence, each drawing strength from the other. It was not a resolution to all their challenges, nor a solution to the fears that tugged at their hearts, but it was a step forward. They learned that leaning on each other, even in small ways, could make life's storms more bearable. By the time they parted that evening, Lily felt lighter than she had in days. She realized that connection was not only about joy and laughter, but also about support and understanding in moments of struggle. The rain had become more than a backdrop for their story. It had become a symbol of resilience, patience, and the quiet power of leaning on someone who cared. Chapter 9. The rain returns. Clouds had gathered ominously by mid-afternoon, dark and heavy, signaling the arrival of another storm. Lily had planned a quiet walk along the town's old river path. But when she stepped outside, the first raindrops began to fall, cool and insistent. She hesitated, considering turning back, when she spotted Ethan hurrying toward her, his coat flapping slightly in the gusting wind. "You came," she called, relief and excitement lacing her voice. "I promised I would," he replied, a bright smile breaking across his face despite the rain. He reached her side, and they started walking together, letting the downpour soak them through. The rain was no longer a gentle drizzle. It pounded the streets in relentless sheets, washing the world in grey and silver. For a moment, they paused beneath a large oak tree, laughter bubbling between them as water dripped from branches onto their heads. Lily's hair clung to her cheeks, and Ethan's jacket was soaked, but neither seemed to mind. In that storm, the world fell away, leaving only the two of them, alive and present in the moment. "I miss this," Lily admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "Missed us, even when life feels heavy. I keep coming back to moments like this. Moments with you." Ethan took both of her hands in his, squeezing gently. "I feel the same. I have been afraid, hesitant, and sometimes unsure, but I cannot ignore what is between us anymore. I want to be with you, fully and without reservation." The rain soaked through their clothes, clung to their skin, and yet it felt cleansing rather than uncomfortable. It mirrored the storm inside them, the rush of emotions that had been growing over weeks of shared laughter, hesitant touches, and quiet confidences. Ethan stepped closer, his forehead resting gently against hers, and Lily could feel the warmth radiating between them, despite the cold rain. "I promise," he whispered, his voice almost lost in the sound of the storm, "to trust you, to support you, to be here no matter what comes. I do not know what the future holds, but I want to face it with you." Tears mixed with raindrops on Lily's cheeks as she replied, "And I promise to do the same, to be honest, to be patient, to hold on to us even when life feels uncertain." The rain continued to pour, washing over them as they embraced fully, letting go of hesitation and fear. Their lips met in a tentative kiss that deepened naturally, carried by the rhythm of the storm. The world around them blurred into a silver haze, and all that mattered was the connection they had built, fragile yet unbreakable. When they finally pulled apart, laughter mingled with soft breaths, and their hands remained intertwined, soaked and warm. The rain, once a mere backdrop, had become a witness to their promises, a symbol of renewal, trust, and the courage to love fully. As they walked back toward the town together, the storm began to soften, leaving behind the scent of wet earth, and the quiet shimmer of puddles reflecting the fading light. Each step carried them closer to the future they had chosen together, a future built on shared vulnerability, trust, and a love strengthened by the storms they had weathered. Chapter 10. A future. In the rain. Morning light was soft, muted by the lingering clouds, and a gentle drizzle fell over the town. Lily stepped outside, feeling the familiar coolness on her cheeks and the faint scent of wet earth in the air. It was peaceful, a quiet reminder of how far she had come in the weeks since returning home. She smiled softly. The memory of storms, laughter, and the small, tender moments that had changed everything. Ethan was waiting by the fountain, hands in his pockets, a warm smile breaking across his face as he spotted her. He had become a part of her routine, a comforting presence that made even ordinary days feel special. Without a word, she walked toward him, and he extended his hand. She took it, and together they strolled through the glistening streets, puddles reflecting the grey sky above, and their figures beside each other. The rain fell lightly now, no longer a storm, but a gentle drizzle that seemed to bless the day. They walked in silence for a while, enjoying the quiet intimacy of shared presence. Every glance, every touch, carried the weight of promises made and kept, of vulnerability met with trust and patience. "I never imagined coming back here would feel like this," Lily said softly, her voice blending with the rhythm of raindrops. "I never imagined finding someone who makes home feel like a place I truly belong." Ethan squeezed her hand gently, his gaze steady and warm. "And I never imagined meeting someone who could break down walls I thought were permanent. You make the world feel lighter, even when it rains." They laughed quietly, the sound mingling with the soft patter of rain. For a moment, the town faded around them, leaving only the two of them walking hand in hand, connected by trust, hope, and the quiet strength of love. The fountain's water glimmered in the soft light, reflecting the sky and the droplets that fell like tiny jewels. Each step they took together felt deliberate, yet effortless, a symbol of the journey they had shared. The past, with its doubts and hesitations, felt distant now. The storms they had endured were no longer obstacles, but reminders of resilience and growth. As they reached the old oak tree near the edge of town, Lily leaned her head against Ethan's shoulder, feeling the steady warmth of his presence. "We have come a long way," she murmured. "And we will go even further," he replied, brushing a wet strand of hair from her face. Together, the rain continued to fall softly, a gentle accompaniment to the quiet promise of the future. In that serene, tender moment, they realized that love was not about perfection or certainty, but about showing up, holding on, and choosing each other every day. With their fingers intertwined and hearts open, Lily and Ethan walked forward beneath the drizzle, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. The rain, once a backdrop for chance encounters and timid beginnings, had become a symbol of renewal, hope, and the enduring power of promises kept.